Enoch walked with God, and the Bible says, and Enoch was not, for God took him, kidnapped him, took him. Said, I need someone amongst human race. There's nobody. Oh God, come, and took him. And God is looking for that again. Many of you hearing me here are saying, but I've told you before, there are some of you here that will believe. Some of us will walk with God like that. Heaven and earth will be almost the same to you. It's like you live in two realms. Oh, believe me, I'm informing you. As I hear it, I tell. You will live in two realms. Sometimes your body will follow to the other side and then come back. Not just your spirit. You have a problem with that? It's your problem. There will be people who walk with God so close that they step out of this realm. You see them. Do you know what you say? You say they disappeared. They went through a door, one of the doors. Then they came back in another place. You call it disappearing and appearing. It is that this person is walking with God so close that the spirit realm for him is normal. You hear some stories of people, real human beings. They'll be jumping in and out as though they don't have three heads, they have one. The one difference between them and us is that those people have come to love God so much. They have given up everything God asked them for, they gave. They love God. They like spending time with God. You know that Bob Jones story I used to tell you? So a sister of mine tells me, you remember that story where he says to that guy, that pastor guy, he goes to preach in a town, and that pastor picks him, drives him around for his programs. When he's going, he tells that man, Bob Jones, this prophet of God, he died some years ago. He says, give me your number, I'll call you when you're in trouble. Did you hear? The guy doesn't understand. So the guy tells him, sorry? He said, you heard me, give me your number, I'll call you when you're in trouble. Who does that? Instead of saying, take my number and call me when you're in trouble, he says, give me your number, I'll call you. This guy said he goes through a period of 1 month. He's suffering demonic attacks, all sorts of problems. He can't sleep. He was all night. He's battling things around 5:30. He falls asleep on his bed. And they said this guy was just telling the story the other day on TV, just some days ago. And he falls. But I knew the story already. But he told more. I'd heard him preach nearly 10 years ago. About almost 10 years ago, I heard him preaching, and he told this story. But when he was sharing it on TV some days ago, he added more to the story. He told some more parts. And he said, and the man was very funny, but just he just, very strange as the guy tended to be. He said, as he picked him in the car, telling him about how he goes to heaven and goes and comes. The other, I went and I came back, and I came back. And people used to say about him, big men of God around him, they say it's like that man goes to heaven how people go to the supermarket. That's how often he, other people that are not him, you hear the stories not from him, you hear it from other people. And someone said, I was in a heaven experience, I saw him, he was in heaven, giving out instructions. He was giving angels instructions, do this, scrolls. And he was very comfortable. He saw other people in heaven, they were very uncomfortable. You could know, they're like, what's happening to me? But this one is like strutting around the whole place, like saying, my papa house. Yes, because he was used to it. Truly, after this man went through this time of pain, and then he falls asleep, then Bob Jones calls the wife, and the wife picks the phone and says, hey, hi, this is Bob Jones. I want to talk to your husband. The husband comes, takes the phone. He said, Bob Jones? He said, yes. He starts laughing. Ha, ha, ha. I told you I'll call you when you're in trouble. Ha, 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 ha. And goes on to tell him everything. Including the dream he had, the vision he saw. So you saw this, so an angel came to you, so he told you this, so he did that, so he did this, and then he tells him again, you're going to see another angel. That story I've told you about Michael, and he tells him that, okay, and drops the phone. This guy says he wakes up, he thinks it's an earthquake. The whole room is shaking. See one big angel standing there like this, not saying anything, so intense, so fearful, dressed like a warrior of old, And later on, he calls him, and he says, you saw an angel? He said, yeah, I saw an angel. And he tells him, did he? Bob Jones is describing to him the angel he saw. He had black hair, he looked like this, he looked very fierce, he was dressed in this, he looked like tight, all that. Yeah, it's Michael, he's usually in a bad mood. By the way, when that angel appeared, he just stood and looked at him, or the whole bed, the whole room. The only thing is the chandelier was not shaking, but everything else was vibrating. He just looked at him, and when he disappeared, all his demonic problems ended. The angel didn't say anything, he didn't do anything. All he knows is that all his problems ended after the angel appeared. My point is this: if you are going to be someone that knows God, Bob Jones walked with God, like it or not. When he was dying, he had a broken leg. Old man, just a few, he couldn't move on his bed like this. But the night he died, he goes to the office of a doctor who feared prophetic people. Have you seen an American hospital before? It can be as big as a city. Have you seen an American hospital in movies? Yeah. Very big like this. Bob Jones is in the other side. This doctor, who is a Christian but doesn't like the prophetic at all, is in his office. It had been snowing, no one could move. He couldn't go back that night. Snow everywhere. He went to his office, his key code into his office, beep, 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 beep. Only he and one assistant knows, and that assistant has gone home, and no vehicle can come back to the hospital till the next day. And he's there in the hospital. He's sitting at his table. He's very tired, lays down his head on his, dozes off on. He kept a small bed to sleep on the ground. He is standing there at his table, and then he hears the key code. And next thing, the door opens. In walks Bob Jones, shaking his leg and saying, I don't know how I'm doing this. I don't know how I'm doing this. Now, the truth is, nobody knows whether it was his body or his spirit, because he died. He was dead. By the next morning, he was dead. He was a dead person. But this is what happened that night. And the last person that saw him purportedly, because the man's wife was by his bed, so they don't say his body moved. They don't understand. This man says the door opened. Bob Jones walked in and told him, take down, and began to give him prophetic words for people. It's like prophetic words he had, but he didn't have any more time. He said, I don't have time. And he was talking. The man was writing. Then he said, stop. There's no time. Just listen. You remember when you need it. In other words, he gave the guy a prophetic calling as his last act on earth. This is someone that hates the prophetic, fears the prophetic. He poured it into his spirit. He said it. He said, you remember when the time comes. And he was just talking, giving prophetic word for people, personal words. You tell this one this, tell this one this, tell this one this, tell this one this. And then he walked out. That man woke up in the morning from his table. What kind of dream was that? What kind of dream was that? Till he looked down at his book, and something like pure Chinese was all over. Something he cannot write. They had to start looking for. At the time I was hearing the story, they were looking for a trustworthy Christian Chinese or Japanese that can translate it and not tell people what was written there, so you won't go and start exposing people's prophetic words. That was the last. So you can walk with God. You can have fantastic experiences. You can know all sorts of things. The heavenly realm can be so real to you. But what's the price? We can be like Enoch. We can know God. That story I told Bob Jones died in 2014. And there are others similar to him. Some are much younger, young people, almost teenagers. Bob Jones worked with God for a very long time. And like I said, he didn't use it to make money. He could be super wealthy. These are people. There are some of these people. The American government consults with them yearly. They alone may have prevented more terrorist attacks than anybody. These guys give information. The government, the ungovernment list of whatever government likes to call them, whether government believes in God or not, all they know is that these people have given them pre-information on multiple attacks. You can't joke with them now. Believe what you like, but when someone keeps preventing things that would have killed millions of people, you respect him, whether you like him or not. And of course, you could be very wealthy with such powers. We call it powers. But they are not. They are simple because they are faithful. They are not greedy. They know God. Not the ones that they don't even have small power like this. Money, cash, money for hand. No. So a prophet's offering. Bring a prophet's seed. If you think like that, I am sorry, I apologize to you in advance, you're disqualified. Don't worry. God will give you small word of knowledge. Small. That's all. Not these kind of things we are talking about. And even this, let me tell you what Bob Jones and similar people have said. He used to say that the grace of God on his life is small compared to what is coming on the next generation. So do what you like with that. And are we not the next generation? Are you not the next generation? What will you do with such an offer? Will you choose with God Or we say, no, I must make money this time. God can give you millions in one day if He wants. The only thing I know, He may likely take it away the next day if He likes to. He will not allow you to love money and be His servant. You have to love Him above all.